Let me pull it up so I don't make this error. So we had a deal with MVP, basically responding to a bunch of people on Instagram. There were like 8 different messages, to where he kind of, like he was responding to fans. And in those responses, these people wanted to see the Hurt Business, and they wanted to know why the group was broken up. They want to they like the group. They want to bring it back, blah, blah, blah. It happened during the pandemic. I didn't watch much of the Hurt Business. I have no real opinion either way.
I've heard a lot of people say things about how much they liked Hurt Business at the time.
Right.
And this is when they were, pushing Bobby Lashley as a star of Raw, or as a top star on Raw, champion on Raw, if you will. So I get why people said they liked it at the time.
So, he started replying to people things like, someone wrote him, "Can't believe Vince fucked this up. I assume it was him." MVP replies, "Triple H had the power to fix it." Shrug. Someone's like, "Should have kept y'all together. Damn you, Vince." And then once again, MVP, "Triple H had the power to fix it. He chose not to. Go figure." Someone said, "As much as I would love to see the Hurt Business back on TV, the only way I want it is if Shelton Benjamin is back in the fold. Ain't no Hurt Business without him. Once he's back, let's run it back." MVP replies, "That's the only way. The current regime doesn't want it either." MVP, so you got to talk to Hunter, Nick, and William and get the band back together with Lashley, Shelton, and Cedric. MVP says, "We did." He said no. Someone was like, "Can we get the Hurt Business back?" MVP says, "Triple H said no. The Triple H era is emasculating black men. I'm really hating it." And then MVP says, "You see it." MVP works for WWE right now. Why is this not a bigger story? Someone says, what noise do we have to make for the Hurt Business to happen again? MVP says, "None. It's over. The powers that be made that clear." 305 MVP, quote, "Triple H, somebody like you doesn't get to be a world champion. It's your job to make people like me laugh. He meant that." Shaking my head. MVP replies, 100 emoji to this. So I saw all that stuff and I was like, wow, that's
it's really candid.
Yeah, it's like, 1, he doesn't give a fuck. 2, this is about more than the Hurt Business. And I think people were trying to minimize this and was like, all this over the Hurt Business. I'm like, no, you got to read between the lines, like, on this stuff. This is like, he's saying not only shit for me not getting passed through, stuff for all these other people not getting passed through. And if you look at these cards and these prominent positions, these pay-per-views, who's getting plugged in where, I don't see no niggas. Like, and what niggas you do see?
Except for like Jade and Bianca. That's the only like prominent like black act I think they have going for them right now.
Look at how Bianca has been used now in the last like 18 months compared to previously. The whole Jade thing is a handcuffing act for Bianca. That is a carry job. That is
that's a side quest until we can push you again, in my opinion. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah. Like, so I sent a simple message out, nothing too crazy that I thought. I was like, yeah, man, this is the same guy that came out on national television more than once in blackface. What do y'all expect?
Yeah.
Do we expect like the liberty and justice for all my niggas? No, like that's not how this works. Like, yeah, like I don't know if I'm too close to this situation, having known like what someone that I know that has dealt with Triple H. Like, I know what's going on in there. Like, do y'all remember when Keith Lee showed up with that Black Lives Matter gear on?
Oh, but you're about to talk about the Road Dogg and Shawn Michaels fight backstage.
There's that. There's that, and then like, I don't know.
Do we have to give context to the people because people might not know that story?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so after George Floyd, right? Is that George Floyd, right?
Yes.
Yeah. After George Floyd was killed for no good reason by law enforcement, Keith Lee wore Black Lives Matter on his trunks for I think it was a NXT takeover or equivalence of that at the time. I don't know if they changed the name of it by that point in time. And backstage, apparently, Road Dogg was like, "Why is he wearing that crap?" And then Sean was like, basically yelled on him and said, like, because of what the fuck's going on. And that was like the argument that was happening backstage at the time. I forgot who reported it or the rumors got started or whatever else at the time, but that was out there.
Yeah.
When it happened.
You know, and there were speeches given by Triple H like around this time, these pep talks and stuff like that. And look, man, I don't need to say this out loud. Come to the One Nation Radio Discord. We'll talk about it there. But yeah, let's just say I don't know if Triple H exactly was in line with the messaging of Keith Lee. So I don't know, man. I got a lot of like stank replies. So it was like, yeah, man, just, you know, people brought up the Triple H and Booker T stuff. That stuff isn't really the stuff I was talking about. Like, that's on-screen stuff. The blackface stuff, while also on screen, however, you have a choice in that. And right. Triple H said as much in the book he wrote with Shawn Michaels that I was sent by Aaron Ratosky. Shout out to Aaron. Where The Rock went to him earlier in the day and was like, I'm uncomfortable with this. And then Triple H, in his words, and yes, I come prepared with these statements here. I'm going to read this off just so we don't fuck this up. On July 6, 1998, we pulled off our first parody. In this instance, we played Part of the Nation. As usual, our actions were not without controversy. It was fun doing the Nation parody. The creative team told us to dress up like the Nation and make fun of them so we could turn it into a program. Kid did not want to do it. I remember having to hold his arms out so he could put the sweatshirt over his fat pad so he could look like Mark Henry. He was like a little child saying, I'm not doing this. This is stupid. He really hated the idea. Then we got out there and people started reacting to it. He was really hilarious. When we got to the back, he couldn't stop talking about how great it was. And I was like, shut up. You didn't even want to do it in the first place. When we all sat down trying to come up with the verbiage and a game plan, I remember Rock was very sensitive about race. He came to me during the day and he thought that it was wrong we were putting black paint on our faces like it was a minstrel show. Are you ready? I explained that we weren't making fun of you because you are black. We were just making fun of you. If I didn't go out there looking black, if I'm ghostly white, then I'm not The Rock. I just look like an idiot. Mark Henry is really dark. If Kid went out there pasty white like he is naturally, it's not going to look like Mark Henry, and the skit won't work. Still, Rock was against it. I think once he saw what we did, he was okay with it because he saw that it wasn't about being black. It was about making fun of those characters. This parody was the kind of thing you could do with 10 different people and get 10 entirely different kinds of skits. But I think with the gel we had as a group, we were able to do this kind of work really well. And once the creative team saw anything we can do, they felt they could trust us with just about anything. That one sentence in there is doing a whole lot of work. I think once he saw what we did, he was okay with it because he saw that it wasn't about being black. That sentence is doing as heavy of lifting as Scott Steiner, James.
Look, man, that line where he says that like people wouldn't get the parody unless we paint ourselves. If we paint ourselves is like no. Then no one can ever sarcastically mock somebody by changing their voice inflection to ridicule or the thing someone just said, because there's no color in voices. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, not at all. Absolutely not. Like, that was garbage. And also, Triple H at the time, calling himself Ghostly White when that man had the bronzer on like he was in a fucking Mr. Olympia competition at all times in that era is preposterous. You were never bronze, or you were never Ghostly White that I've ever seen on national television.
So, like, when I hear this guy, this same man, I haven't heard about some great awakening that Triple H has had over, these years, and him being in his mid-50s now or whatever. This guy is who he is. He's like anybody else. Why would I think, like, I got so many responses. Are you calling Triple H a racist? I was like, actually, I didn't. All I said was Triple H went out on national television several times in blackface. What the fuck did anyone expect? This isn't somebody that's sensitive to the plight of African Americans or anything, or really cares. Like, he just kind of assumes and operates. And this is like directly, these are the words from his book. Unless his book was ghostwritten and this is not a reflection of who he was, like, I think it's pretty damning right there. But yet, people, of course, hurt that I would take their hero, Paul Levesque, to the carpet on basic things that the man did. They act like it didn't happen. Or I'm the enemy, James, for counting, or even better, James, it's AEW's fault. Like, I don't like you AEW fan. I'm like, yo, this is a issue that is being raised by MVP, a man that I know that doesn't have any problem holding his tongue about anything. You can look up to Chris Jericho and the MVP situation they had. This, I feel like we should be talking about this since MVP is still on the payroll. Everyone's tight-lipped there. They have The Rock now on the board of directors. There's a black person on the board. How about I think it would be great for Triple H and The Rock to, while they're working on approving the DVD at WrestleMania that still hasn't come out, why don't we get them back together and see if we can speak on this?
I think they got an announcement date on that. Like, it comes out in July, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it actually did happen before, or came out before, or is coming out before SummerSlam. So that's good.
I said it
with
Vince McMahon. Triple H, Paul Levesque is not your father. Stop this.
It's always, look, man, I remember you were saying at the time, like, why is Triple H doing the call out thing after WrestleMania 40? And it's like, because, like, there always needs to be a cult of personality. Like, there always needs to be, for these people that are like WWE fans, like a person that is like the head coach, the CEO. There needs to be a Phil Jackson, a Pat Riley, a Jerry West that they know is at the helm, controlling all of this craft, and that they can create. Is like, this is the genius. And it's like, for a lot of television and media or whatever else, there are things like that, like the part where, Stan Lee from Marvel for in comic books for forever, right? That was always a thing. But I don't necessarily think that we need that now. Like, if this was a committee effort, if there was a WWE booking committee, like we treated like the territories was the NWA committee.
Well, there is certain times of the year.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was like a bullpen that was handling all this stuff, and and no one got all the credit or all the blame, and there was no sort for someone to fall on, or someone get all the credit when it's good or bad, I don't think it would make a difference. I just think that, like, WWE has always ran on, or at least post the first WrestleMania, that like this is ever since Vince Jr. bought it, that like this is a one person is the genius, the CEO, the driver of all of this, and they don't know how to work without people people that are watching this, knowing that there is somebody that is at the in Gorilla talking to people, calling the plays. I don't think you necessarily need that. Like, I don't think this has been good with Tony Khan and AEW feeling the need to do this at times either. But it happens. And it works out for the good, and other times it works for the bad. And most of the time when I'm on Twitter, all I see is the bad. So I'm thinking, like, what's the fucking point?
Yeah. I got so much blowback on this.
Because if there was no commit, like now post the WrestleMania, or say the WWE pay-per-view PLE, whatever the fuck you want to call them, like they do those press conferences. Same thing with, AEW does them, right? When there's some real shit going on, who they gonna talk? Who they gonna talk to? They want to talk to you, Paul. They want to talk to you, Tony. If it was a bullpen committee, they wouldn't be nobody for them to talk to in that way. Just a thought.
Yeah, I really want to, seeing MVP talk about this, and then look at the weak pushes. Like, look at I saw a post.
Hold on, real quick. Gotta handle some business. Bob Kane. Is Bob Kane the dude that basically that lied and said he created Batman? I think Bob Kane is the fraud. I'm not sure. Let's see. I think Bob Kane is the actual fraud.
I have never heard of Bob Kane.
So two people are credited with creating Batman is Bob Kane and Bill Finger. One of them is the one that you think is the one that most likely did. The other one is like basically the person that's taking all the credit for doing it, but no one actually believes that when they talk about it, actually believes he actually came up with it. But he's the motherfucker that put on the tombstone I'm the person that created Batman. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those. So I think Bob Kane is one of those. So hold on, just want to make sure, because if I come up on this bitch and pull up his tombstone and you see that fucking Batman logo on there, you be like, are you serious? This is how you want to be remembered. It don't say father, husband, grandfather, family man, none of it. It says creator of Batman, Bruce Wayne.
Unreal. But look at, a year ago, I believe they created that group with Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits called the Pride. I can only recall them being like booked on one pay-per-view. Like, do you think this has helped the Street Profits career of getting Triple H in power?
Was that WrestleMania?
I think so.
When they sold the gin and juice or the chicken?
Yeah, when they sold the chicken. Correct.
Well, which one was gin and juice? One was the gin and juice, one was the chicken. It was either the Jade match or the.
I think they were the gin and juice and the women were the chicken.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And then also, when they had the Rey Mysterio match with all the Mexicans, they had the Modelo.
Correct.
And while distasteful, within the next week, I had Wingstop and that Modelo joints. The Modelo's good. Look, it's shameful, it's tasteless, but I never would have bought that shit if I had thought about it and I hadn't seen it on the screen.
See?
It worked. It worked. The bigotry works. The stereotype worked on me.
Unreal.
I am part of the problem.
Unreal.
See, this is why Tunnel Talk wanted me deplatformed a few months ago. I have a problem.
You got to collect all their cookout items as well, James. Don't forget.
I heard that shit.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it later. But yeah, man. I saw this and I was baffled that people hand waved this, didn't want to talk about it, tucked their tails, had no interest in commenting on this. But I'm like, I think this is pertinent information, guys. We should probably try to document this at some point in case a pattern develops. Excuse me, in case the pattern continues, because these things are already happening.
Yeah. So, what's it says? Browse ass. Yeah. Was it Fresca, right? Was it the Fresca? Yeah, it was a Fresca. It was the Fresca.
Sick. Take that down. They ain't paying us. Take that down.
Hey, they can pay me.
Look, I had to digitally impose that off the screen.
Look, man, what your boy Anderson .Paak on one of the Modelo commercials. I know he half Mexican, but goddamn it, he black too.
So we need
look. I'm down to be in one of them commercials, one of the Modelo commercials. Put me in there with Ray. I don't give a shit.
I just thought we need like